think we're here. And Thor insists on being in the show today. So
yes, we are here.
You see what he's doing to his belly? He's like licking all the fur off. And I've given him steroids and I've tried everything. And he's such a pretty cat. Now, if he could lick his face off, that would be horrible. But he can't. So anyway, yeah. So Jay Dyer. Jay Dyer got under my skin again.
There's creams you can get for that, and ointments for the
kitty. No, I tried that too. Yeah, doesn't do a thing. Does not affect him. Oh, I guess it would keep him from licking it, but I'd have to keep it on so that it tastes bad. But no, I think he's doing it because he's like neurotic. I don't know. He's just like neurosis. He got a thing going on. Anyway, so Will Freeman is JG? What's that?
No, I don't know. I don't know who Will Freeman is for sure, but usually I thought I've seen him on that JG, that JG guy, the guy who... full of philosophy and... What is the name of his channel? Will Freeman, I can't place you. I don't remember where I've encountered you before.
Hey, Brainless Steel is here. How about that? It's a little earlier for Brainless right now, I think. Anyway, so I got a Jay Dyer video that I kind of wanted to go through a little bit, but first of all, let's try to figure him out. Now, he kind of comes. I don't know if he claims to be some great philosopher or like. I don't know what his claims are, other than that he's really arrogant and he's really sure of himself. And he reads a lot of philosophy, that I can say, but apparently he doesn't understand a lot of it, which is a problem. Let's see. So, okay, this is what evolution. He goes after evolution too. And that is just ridiculous because he is totally unqualified. Let's see. So he's a presup. He's got the tag argument and all that stuff. And does this tell you what his credentials are? Debate evolution.
No, it says that he doesn't have a PhD, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to go deeper than just that one Reddit article. I just pulled it up because it was top.
Well, that's ChatGPT, and it says he holds a Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, undergraduate study. Okay, so he reportedly or claims to have done graduate work in literary theory, espionage, psychology, and film symbolism. So yeah, I know he does a lot of film stuff, and he's actually probably pretty good at it.
I watched a movie recently dealing with symbolism. I think it was that old movie from 1998, Air Bud, and like there was this yellow canary that just kind of pops up ever so often. And I thought to myself, that has got to have some symbolic significance. And I asked ChatGPT about it, and it gave some sort of thing. But I thought, well, okay, that's some database's interpretation. But it's just weird things do crop up, and people do go back and look for foreshadowing in the like maybe some of the establishing shots or some of the background. People zooming on picture frames that are in the background to see if they can see clearly what's in them, because I guess producers and directors do add little things like that to make it fun.
So we got Fenton Mully here. Dyer seems to have some philosophy pamphlets.
Pamphlets were a big thing for a while.
Oh, David Westhoff, atheism has no answers. Yes, answers in atheism. Stick around. We're going to answer all your questions for you. Anyway, so there's that. And what else we got here? What else?
You can look at that. Maybe atheism depends on how you view atheism. We're providing answers from within atheism because we are in a state, I guess you could say, of being atheist, and we're in atheism. But we've got answers to questions and objections that people have, such as, where do you get your morals? Or how can you be, you're just stealing from the Christians, which is a which is just kind of a dumb thing if you know anything about sociology and child development. Of course you're stealing from the people that raised you and inhabited your schools and came from that point of view. Yeah, you're going to steal their morals because that's the only morals you're taught. But it's a taught thing. It's a sociological thing. So there's an answer from within atheism. So it's an answer in atheism. Yeah. So there. Yeah. Fuck
atheism
off.
itself. Atheism is a condition that I get when I'm around a believer. So if I got somebody who believes in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, then I'm an atheist around him. And that's the only time I'm an atheist. I'm not an atheist when I hang up the phone and shut off the screens, right? I'm only an atheist in response to what somebody else believes. And so it's kind of a relational thing.
I'm going to ban David Westhoff. He's just one of these kooks that comes in to insult people. So he's obviously wanting to learn anything.
Hang on a second.
Okay, that's okay. But no.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What the fuck?
I say, no, it's fucking not. You're an asshole. You're the kind of person that people just kind of at parties will just kind of scoot away from because, you know, it's like knowing that somebody's pissing in the punch.
So David Westhoff doesn't seem to have anything to offer, so maybe we should throw him out. Atheism is a cop-out and a religion, blah, blah, blah.
David,
no, atheism.
Here's my advice, David. When you come back in with a sock account or something, do some actual engaging. So I'm timing you out for 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 24 hours? That's pretty harsh, man.
Well, no, we've had people like this come in and look at that. He's like farting. It's like farting in the middle of a flower.
I guess so. Yeah.
You know, like not just farts, but like the flatus of a sick animal. Just spewing it out. Come on, let's have some human interaction, some human comment, some human engagement. And maybe you can come back because I know you're probably going to pick up a sock puppet and start doing the same thing again. So anyway, that was my decision. I will take the heat for it, but we just do not need.
Well, I was hoping he'd come up with something, but apparently he's just, oh no, that's not an answer. That's bullshit. Just anyway, it's like I really want to make that clear to Christians that I have never believed in your crap ever in my entire life. I've never had a reason to open your Bible. I've never had any reason to believe that there's anything in the Bible that would have anything to do with my life. And when you ask if I'm an atheist, it like depends on what God you're talking about. And if it's the Christian God you're talking about or the one in the Bible, then yeah, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in that God. And then in addition to that, when I think about gods, I don't believe gods are even possible because a God would have to be intelligent. Are you typing, Scott? You are.
Yeah, I was typing to this Corey Howard who pulled this. You see, immediately censoring people, proving atheists have no morals whatsoever. And hopefully, maybe Corey, he or she is being tongue in cheek, but you know, I'm just saying, why don't you try engaging and having some interaction because we've been there, we've done that, we've bought the T-shirts, we know what you people are like, and we only want the believers that will interact and engage and not just spew the flatus all over the otherwise nice smelling garden.
Yep. So, hang on a second here. I got to get the screen up. Destruction of Philosophy. Is that the right one? I hope it's the right one. Share. Oh, there it is. Okay. And I can make that theater mode. Okay. So, let's see. Okay. What God do you believe in then? What is that? No, he asked another question. Didn't he say, what do you believe then? I guess maybe. Okay, no morals, no Corey Howard. Okay, so CK, what God do you believe in then? Naturalism is my God, I guess. That's my foundational presuppositional God. I know Breakfast Tacos kind of does it as a tongue-in-cheek thing, the presuppositional naturalism. But I'm in a place in the last year where I will say that I'm a presuppositional naturalist. I just presuppose naturalism, and then I figure out everything from there. And if I find something inconsistent, I'll let you know. So anyway, and scientism, Leo. I'm a scientist. Okay, so what else we got going on here? Fenton Mully, I'd love for the Christians in chat to give me a definition of what a Christian is. That would be a good idea. I want them to tell me what a kind is too. Can they please tell me what a kind is? Like, what is the cat kind exactly? How do I recognize the cat kind? If I'm like out there looking at bugs and I got my microscope.
Just by vibes, just by feels.
Yeah. I mean, could I find a cat kind under my microscope? Maybe. Who knows? I could find one. But yeah, vibes and feels, I guess, is what a kind is. Anyway, not engaged. Okay, who's Evan Davis? I'm not sure. Okay, so we got to get going here. So anyway, I wanted to address this video So Jay did a clip of a video, and it's taken from a longer video called The Philosophical Problem of Circularity with Jay Dyer. And all of these are on the Church of Eternal Logos, which is that weird Eastern Orthodox thing. There's this whole Eastern Orthodox thing going on YouTube. And I sort of have my... Huh?
The Brothodox cult?
Brothodox, right.
They're bros,
yeah, I kind of have my...
And they only...
it's
each other.
It stands alongside the right wing politics in the same way that foundationalism does. The foundationalist Protestants, but they hate the Protestants and they hate the Catholics, and anyway. So there's a whole lot of fighting going on between those guys, but then there's a lot of fighting going on between them and us. So, but let's give this first part a listen here and see what we got. This is the beginning of presuppositionalism. So,
the unbelieving secular type of person, for the positivist, for the materialist, etc. If they have that kind of an approach, if you go that route, you can't debate.
Right.
Debate is done.
Right.
In other words, you don't actually have any arguments against Christianity. I mean, you might not like it, you might not believe it,
right,
but you don't have arguments against it.
Right.
Because now there's no such thing as argumentation. If there's no argument.
Okay. So that's it. That's the basis of presuppositionalism, that they have taken away our ability to argue with them because we can't find a foundation for our argumentation. So that means we can't argue. Okay. So you want to think about that for a second, Scott? Like, if somebody comes up to you in the, if you're looking for a parking place in Walmart, and some asshole darts in front of you and clips your bumper and grabs a parking place, and you get out of your car indignant and say, "You hit my car. What the hell's wrong with you?" And he says, what is your foundation for claiming that there's something wrong with what I did? Right? How is that going to play out in the Walmart parking lot? So what I'm trying to get at here is that we have these, could you call it a proper basic belief? That we have these things that we all know and things that we all do every day in our lives. We behave every day in our lives in a natural world with natural causes, other than the asshole that clipped your bumper and took the car. You might call that some kind of supernatural mind thing or intent thing. But anyway, so we operate in this this world of relative certainty when you think about it, right? When you get out of bed in the morning, you know that you're going to be able to step on a floor that's going to hold you up. And we do that every morning of our lives. And I've done it for 27,234 days. gotten out of bed and stepped on the floor and had it hold up, in spite of what Hume says about induction. I mean, comment, Scott? Anything?
I'm just listening to the temper tantrums in chat.
Oh, are they having? Okay, so yeah, what is going on in chat here?
Looks like the dude came back as a Rick Duty and is now just having another tantrum. Not willing to
colors. So Rick Duty. Okay.
But that's my theory. I don't know if it's him or not, or her, or it, but they, them. But it seems like that's just the person that had the tantrum and then got blocked or timed out for 24 hours and now is coming back.
Yeah, we got a lot of new people that I don't know, so thank you guys for stopping in. I guess maybe you're Jay Dyer fans. Do we have a lot of Jay Dyer fans in here? Let's just okay. Let's go on to this next part here. So anyway, this bullshit about having to have a foundation for our knowledge, that isn't where you start. Okay, you start with what you know and how you live, and that kind of like goes to what you are, right? And then if you want to get deeper, then you start bringing in all the philosophers and trying to analyze shit. And of course, philosophers have famously failed at founding anything. I mean, yeah, you can tell. Where are we here, Leo? Collective IQ is like 67. Yeah, come on, guys, try to be better out there. I mean, if like you're a Dyer fan, at least try to make a real case and tell me why I need to justify or found things before I start arguing, because that's what he said, that we can't even argue against God. And besides, I don't need an argument against God. I simply don't believe in God. I mean, if you want an argument, I can come up with one, but I don't need that to be an atheist. My fellow atheists don't need it either. Anyway, okay, let's listen. Ready?
I am ready.
Then there's no debate. There's no logic. There's no reasons to believe or not to believe. So they don't, most of the time, philosophers are not consistent with the positions that they're adopting. Of course, the job of the apologist is to call those people to consistency. Hey, wait a minute, you said this, and then you're saying this. You got to be consistent with these two things, man. If you don't believe in epistemology anymore, if you're surrendering it, like Quine points out, then that comes at a heavy cost, and you can't do debate anymore.
Yep.
Quine.
So,
and by the way, I went on that point of creating a kind of a perfect one-to-one correspondence math system. I think you had mentioned, Gödel. This is where Gödel comes in contra as an insight. Contra.
I think it's Gödel. Gödel. You almost pronounce the R, but you don't say Gödel.
I don't know. I've heard people use an R kind of sound to it, or say Gödel. So that's really a minor point.
There's a subtle.
Gödel is here to tell us it's Gödel. Then we just don't need to focus on that.
Yeah. Well, it's not Gödel. It's Gödel.
Okay, you're going to focus on that. Yeah, just choose which one and be consistent.
Russell, because.
Okay. So listen to this.
Gödel comes in contra as an insight contra Russell, because Gödel points out that from math itself, you can show that there's no complete set. The set will always appeal outside of the set to something extra set.
Well, speak to.
Okay, that's nothing to do with Gödel's incompleteness theorem, and they keep misusing it, and they do it over and over and over again. Okay, for one thing, Russell is the one that came up with the thing about the contradictions of set theory because of the self-referring set, right? The set of all sets that contain itself or don't contain itself or whatever. Russell came up with that. Gödel didn't come up with that. And he didn't. His only criticism of Russell was that Russell came up with something called type theory. Sel Cordova famously thought it was pipe with a P theory. Pipe theory. You remember when he was throwing his books down? Like
okay. I'm sure the plumbers out there, when they train and do their apprenticeship, learn about pipe theory.
Right. So Russell came up with this kind of complicated hierarchical type theory idea to solve the problem of self-referential sets, but that has nothing to do with Gödel's incompleteness theorem. And there's something else he says about Gödel that we have to hear before I explain something.
Explain Gödel's incompleteness theorem. And
right, and it's in response to that set building approach that you mentioned from
the
Vienna School.
From the Vienna School, from Russell and these people, and he's pointing out. And by the way, there's I can't find these quotes anymore, but somebody had dug up some obscure quotes from Gödel, pointing out that the Vienna School and people like Russell were actually part of a conspiracy.
Oh, really?
And he calls it a global conspiracy to not just destroy knowledge and philosophy, but he had apparently become aware of their plan for mass depop, right? Because we know Russell.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, this is I've never been able to find it again. It was some guys from a philosophy department that had found these old archives and papers from Gödel.
That would be really nice to have, yeah.
And Husserl too. Husserl had mentioned the same, that he was on to this conspiracy. So some of these guys had noticed this and they couldn't believe it. And some people point out that Gödel towards the end of his life got really paranoid and was scared, and he thought, because he had kind of realized that what these Royal Society goons were up to, like that they might come after him. So I wish I could find those quotes. I'll never be able to find them again. They were on some philosophy blog from 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah, apparently it's all bullshit. So I don't think there's any evidence of this from Gödel. Disagreed with some of Russell's conclusion. Okay, I'm checking ChatGPT. So he didn't like type theory. Thought that Russell's type theory was too restrictive and artificial. No conspiracy language. There's no known instance in Gödel's writing, correspondence, or interviews where he accused Russell or any logicians of being part of a conspiracy. These guys, where the fuck did they come up with this stuff? You know, it's just, I read it on the internet.
It's the churn of all the feeds and all the blogs and all even the old bulletin boards and stuff. So it's just deep churn.
This depopulation thing, natalism or anti-natalism, I think that's what they're talking about, because it's a really big thing in the Orthodox Church. This charge against anti-natalism, I think. So that's kind of where they're trying to come up with some kind of bullshit. But anyway, so somewhere in here, Dyer says something about, and I'm not sure where. Maybe we'll run into it. But he says that basically he showed that any mathematical system is incoherent. Gödel showed that it's incoherent. No, Gödel showed that any coherent mathematical system will have some way of creating some statements, not all statements, but some statements that have to appeal outside of that system. That's what Gödel showed. He showed that, out of the trillions and quadrillions of statements that you can come up with in a mathematical system, that you can find 1, 2, 12, or, actually an infinite number. But you can find some things that refer to the system itself. And in doing so, you have to go outside of the system in order to prove it. But it does not prove that there's anything wrong with mathematical systems. He starts with a coherent mathematical system. And Gödel's theorem, it applies to mathematics, and it doesn't apply to the world or to philosophy or any other goddamn thing. And they got to quit using that, because it's about mathematics. That is the discussion. It's not about philosophy and metaphysics and all this bullshit. And it doesn't prove that it's impossible to know things or any of the other stuff that they come up with. Rick Duty says atheism is just plain stupid. Yeah, okay, Rick Duty. I think you can probably toss that asshole too. It's a religion. Yeah, okay, fine. It's a religion. Okay, what's wrong with religion? For all consistent axiomatic systems, okay, Leo, that can be axiomatized. There will be true statements that the system itself cannot prove true. That's what it means. That it can't be proved within the system itself. You can always come up with some statements, but it does not say anything about the other statements, the billions and trillions and infinite number of other statements you can make within the system that you can prove within the coherent system. And that's it. And I think there were other mathematicians at the time that were trying to come up with an absolute system that it would handle anything, right? And Gödel said, no, wait a minute. There are these little fringe things you can't, like self-referential type systems and shit like that. So anyway, please, you idiots, quit using Gödel. He's not your friend. He didn't prove anything about philosophy or religion or God or any other goddamn thing. And he certainly didn't think Russell was a conspiracy theorist. Okay. Calm down, Rick Duty. You are fools.
I think Rick's maybe a candidate for a stroke if he doesn't get some help.
I think he's a candidate for banning, yeah. I don't know. Well, I guess, we got a bunch of fans in here. Caps, Monkey, Chill. We got Nitty. Okay, let's see what else he's got to say.
I mean, they look legitimate quotes. They weren't just like made up nonsense. This was from actual professors. So anyway, but the point is that.
Wait a minute. Now, ChatGPT said there's no evidence of that. Okay. Are there Gödel quotes? I'm checking it out. That claim Russell and other philosophers had a depopulation conspiracy going on. Okay, we'll check. Let's see here. Gödel was intentionally no. There's absolutely no quotes from Gödel claiming that Bertrand Russell or other philosophers were involved in a depopulation conspiracy. I think we can leave it at that. So if you guys come up with some goddamn evidence, then fine. Go ahead.
Gödel had this insight, being a mathematician, that Russell is wrong on the way sets work, right, and that they become self-referencing. And so some people misunderstand me talking about this. They think that I'm saying that Gödel was making a transcendental argument for God's existence. No, he wasn't doing that. But what he was showing was that the way mathematics and logical systems work is that they will appeal outside of themselves, right, and thus there cannot be any self-contained, perfectly consistent set, system, or theory.
Okay, so Gödel's proof was about consistent axiomatic systems, right? Or axiomatized systems. It was about consistent systems.
Can you shoot the affiliates a link?
Yeah, sure. Don't you have his thing? Anyway, I'm not sure if I can do that. Hang on a second. I guess I could do that. Oh, I gotta find it, and then I gotta do some other stuff. So what are you doing while I'm doing that, man?
What am I doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Well, see, I had to get outside and brave the copperhead-infested pastures to pick up a package from FedEx and make sure the cattle have enough water for this. I think it's going to be 98 degrees today. So I just did a lot of morning chores.
Tell your story.
I don't want to tell my story.
Oh, come on. That was a good story.
I basically just about stepped on a copperhead yesterday while I was taking the trash to the pickup place. And so now I've got this skittishness about going outside. I have a shovel I carry around now just because I want to decapitate any poisonous snakes I see.
So how long have you lived there?
A couple of years, going on 3.
Oh, okay. So do you remember when you first moved there and I told you never go outside, never, because of snakes, ever?
Well, that's true. You did. You did. You know, we had
I took-
some dogs and cats for a while that seemed to take care of the problem. You know, just make them reluctant to come close to the house. But now that they're gone, you know, the reptiles are getting brave.
They're moving in. They're after you, Scott. Okay, we're going to listen to a little more.
Another philosopher, sort of savant character, Douglas Hofstadter, wrote a famous Pulitzer Prize-winning book called Gödel, Escher, Bach, and he shows that in both Gödel's theorems and in the art of M.C. Escher and in the music of Bach, for example, you have the same, what he calls strange loops. And strange loops are, again, not just features of math and set theory, they're features of artworks. And so the repeating patterns that you see in Escher's famous works, repeating structures. I'm not a music person, so I don't really understand all of this, but the way that Bach's pieces can actually kind of be a never-ending loop. They're written in a certain way that they demonstrate this same principle of the strange loop, as he calls it. And the point is that it's just further demonstrating and proving Gödel's point that not just in math, but in many areas of life and the arts, we actually see this principle of self-referential strange loop.
Right.
I don't know what else to call it. And so that's an analogy.
So Hofstadter's big thing was strange loops, that in consciousness and you know, set theory and logic and a number of other things, there are all these self-referential loops that end up like going in and out of themselves, and they're very strange. That they create these paradoxical structures. So anyway, and I'm not sure. I really doubt that Dyer understands the thing about Hofstadter. Anyway, hi Leo. Hi Leo. You like Jay Dyer? Are you a fan, Leo?
Huh? No.
No, not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan either.
Jay Dyer? No. Jay Dyer's an idiot.
Well, this bullshit about using Gödel in the way that they're using it really irritates me, because that wasn't what it was about.
All he was saying right there is it seemed like he was trying to like explain the book Gödel, Escher, and Bach, which it's clear he hasn't read. I mean, I haven't read it, but I'm also not trying to disseminate the contents of the book when I haven't read it. I just wouldn't talk about it because I haven't read it.
Well, the book he's referring to, I think it may refer to Strange Loop and Gödel, Escher, and Bach, but he's talking about Strange Loops by Hofstadter. He wrote a book called something Strange Loop, and he's a very interesting guy, and he really dives deep into some of this stuff, and he's just interesting writer. He's got some interesting ideas anyway, but I'm pretty sure Dyer doesn't understand a goddamn one of them. So
probably not. No.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to a little bit. Is that all right?
To how I would understand circularity working, right? Again, think back to the Wittgenstein analogy. How are you gonna? How do we know that words mean, right? I mean, surely that's a valid question. I mean, nobody.
How do we know?
Although some philosophers do.
Words mean
because God.
We ascribe meaning to them.
Yeah,
guys, because God did it. God did it. Yay! I'm a philosopher.
Well, he's going to make the point that you need words in order to explain what words mean.
Yeah, you can't ask that question, right?
Or, he's probably going to say you need God to infuse words with the ability to have meaning or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're going to explain the meaning of a word, you need words to do that, and that makes it circular. But actually, you could make a noise, like a grunt, and indicate something, and now you've associated that grunting noise with the thing indicated with your hands, so you don't always need words to explain things. Like I had this great niece who didn't talk till she was 4. And she used to tell entire stories with expressions in her face and her hands. And she would she was like, and I mean, you could follow her and it's like, holy shit, this kid is some kind of odd genius. And then she started talking and we couldn't shut her up after that. So anyway, But yeah, no, that's not even true. But I'm not sure what his point was.
It'll be arbitrary. Like, you can't ask that question. Okay, well, why can't I? Right. Well,
No,
usually people don't want you to ask the questions that they can't answer. So exactly. So if we ask this kind of meta level question, how do we know that words mean without using
because
words?
we ascribe
right?
them meaning. Like, I love how he thinks these are profound questions. Oh, nobody can answer. I'm such a big brain genius. No, it's just they're questions that show that your understanding of language and linguistics, and even things like meta logic, where logic and linguistics start to cross over, is just lacks. He doesn't understand these things. Words have meaning because humans give them meaning.
It's also taking a word that's not normally used. I don't know. It's just a strange way to express it. How do we know that words mean? Can you think of a totally unrelated topic where you can use the phrase that blank mean, and it's being used that way? It just seems like a straining and just a heck of an effort, abuse, bruising of the English language to make that even try to sound. It's a deepity. I think it's a deepity.
Yeah.
Pseudo profundity is what I like to call it.
Pseudo profundity. Yeah, I think where all this goes is that there's there are all these problems in philosophy, and they talk about Hume and Klein and all the different goings on, and logical positivism and all that, and philosophy tends to go around and around in circles for many years, and it is kind of frustrating. But his argument for the whole, his solution for the whole thing is God done it. God done it, and it's like, okay, same thing for evolution. God done it. We can just go home. We just take this one thing. Well, I prefer to say the cosmos did it. And what's the difference? It just doesn't make any goddamn difference.
I'm sorry. I have to point this out. I love how all the little Dyerites in the chat have no other response other than, well, but you guys are just a bunch of losers. Like, come on, man. Like, have something to actually offer.
A little salty, guys.
I don't mind being a little salty. At least I have flavor, unlike all you little white boys.
Yeah. Okay, losers, a lot of you. Losers, lol. There's a lot of really heavy philosophical discussion going on in the chat here. So.
Oh, there is. Big time.
Yeah,
got us shaking in our boots.
Yeah, just absolutely amazing. Okay, let's listen to the fool. But God, he's what kills me about Dyer is that he spoke shit that he doesn't know. He doesn't really understand these things that deeply. Even though he reads all the books, you can tell he reads the books. He just doesn't get them.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a difference between reading books and
understanding. We're not going to be.
Books. Most of the books I've read more than once because I didn't really understand what they were saying until about the second, maybe the third read through. But this is how actual, intelligent people hell bent on actually understanding something behave. They don't read a book to say I read the book. They read the book because they want to understand its contents.
Yeah, well, I think he talks about a book in here that I picked up yesterday.
Able to give an account of words or explain words without using words, right? So,
anyway, it's a book on epistemology by a Christian, and it's about virtue.
What's it called?
It's hang on a second. Let me get that for you. And it's actually he basically claims that epistemology is about virtue and emotion, which is kind of interesting and very much not what, let's see here. Okay, EPUB. So we got, okay, PDF. Epistemology, Becoming Intellectually Virtuous by W.J. Wood. Okay. So let's see if I think I can take that and put that in chat. Anyway, he mentions this, but I just kind of scanned the book and he talks about, foundationalism and stuff like that. So, whoops, I gave something away here. Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway,
InterVarsity Press. I have never heard of that before.
That's
I
an
don't know.
evangelical.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I see a something press and I've never heard of it, my eyebrow immediately goes up. Like,
yeah.
I don't know about
They've been
Anyway.
around for years. They were around in the 80s when I was getting deeper and deeper into my religious faith.
So the reason I brought that up is because the one point he does make in the book is that one of the virtues of being an intellectual and knowledge is humility. And that's what you're referring to, Leo, when you said you have to read a book more than once, right? It's like, God damn it, humility. It's really important. And no matter how much you think you know or how many different ways you've digested this stuff, you have some humility, and that at the bottom, you don't know for absolutely 100% goddamn certain what's going on if you get right down to it. But for my example, like the Walmart parking lot example, we know enough. We know enough to make a whole lot of. I mean, our knowledge is huge without being absolutely certain of every goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think some of these philosophers miss. They were searching for that absolute logical certainty, and that was famously fucked up in the 20th century. So, but anyway,
There was a lot of
Dyer's
interesting philosophy that I don't agree with in particularly the earlier half of the 20th century. I think a lot of that had to do with there just being a sort of a major paradigm shift in philosophy broadly in the late 19th and early 20th century, when philosophy was really becoming a lot more naturalist. Like, these assumptions about gods and supernatural things were slowly being moved out. And so there was this scramble, well, what's going to replace this? And I think philosophers have, number one, found the replacements where there are replacements, and number two, have accepted that, well, maybe there just aren't replacements and maybe we don't need them. But that's where I think like a lot of logical positivism and all of these things that aren't accepted anymore come from, is that it was sort of a scramble by philosophers under this paradigm shift to find something new to replace the paradigm that's slowly being pushed out. That's how I view it. There's going to be people that disagree, even atheists. So,
yeah. Let's see what else. Wood's epistemology
I'm not a big fan of AI or LLMs, I should say, because LLMs and AI, there is a bit of a nuanced distinction between the two. But I haven't used an AI once. The only time I've used an AI was when I tagged Grok to do that. What's the most famous person that's ever visited my Twitter profile? Do you guys know who it is, by the way?
No.
Sean Carroll. Yes, that Sean
Oh,
Carroll.
you're kidding.
I saw that. I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, my God. Yep.
That's literally the only thing I've ever used an LLM or an AI for.
Do you know how we can tell when AI has really gotten intelligent, like really had artificial intelligence is solved? When you ask it a question and it says to you, I don't know. Then we'll know.
Yeah, I think
it's
that would be a good standard.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, I use AI 4 or 5 hours a day now in genetics. Mostly.
I think like now when you search on Google, there's that AI overview thing. I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. I think that's a pretty helpful way to use AI. Like, I think AI and LLMs can be useful. I think that they can be meaningful to augment the way that humans learn and things, but you shouldn't. It bothers me when I see people like relying on these LLMs for learning and things like that. Stop that, please. For the love of God, stop that. It's been shown that you can get an AI to agree with pretty much anything that you feed it. Like, that's not a hard thing to do.
Yeah. I want to find something here. What the hell am I looking for? Oh, shit. Anyway. Okay, let's do a little more garbage here.
The astute, annoying philosopher man might say, hey, wait a minute, as you're explaining words, you're using words, you're using the thing in question. It's a circular argument. And the point is that when we
So-
come to, and we could ask the same type of question about logic. We could say, how do we know logic is logical? That's a meta level question. That's a metalogical question.
What does the question even mean?
These
As
deep,
I'm
deep
interpreting that
metalogical-
question, logic isn't logical, because for something to be logical, you have to have a logic in place that which you can reference. So no, logic wouldn't be logical. Things would be logical given some logic, but the logic itself is not logical. That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. They think they're just like they've really discovered something with this meta logic and metaphysics, and then their answer is always this presuppositional bullshit that God explains all of it, because they can show that anything, I mean, you could show with words that anything is, you could make a circle with words all you want, but the bottom line is that that isn't how we live our lives. We don't live our lives by coming up with a justification or a foundation for everything we do every goddamn time we do it. If we did, we'd be dead. We did not evolve to work that way. That's why I think the brain is basically faith-based. What do you think of that statement, Leo? Because
It depends on what's meant by faith.
well, your brain, you're like when you run into a situation and you make a judgment about what you're going to do in that situation, you don't completely go and review all of your beliefs and all of your reasoning for your entire
100%.
life, right? So that is
You're not going,
sense,
okay, so what's the foundation which grounds all
Right.
possible rationality and the
Yeah.
nobody starts there. That's not that's not how people think.
Yeah. It's like, how do I ground this bear sound I hear and this black thing running at me at 35 miles an hour? It's like, you'd be dead. So in that manner, so your brain works on sort of a intuitive faith-based level, belief, intuition, and faith, to make the very best guess in an instant, right? And that's how we live our lives. I mean, that's how I'm forming the words in this sentence, right? So I mean, in that manner, you could call that faith. And if they want to say that I'm relying on faith, fine. What's wrong with faith? It's how humans work. It's like, Jesus Christ. Anyway.
That's why there are metaphysical questions. There are meta-ethical questions, right? How do we know that ethical norms are ethical? How do we? And there's nothing
That's not what
inherently wrong.
That's not what metaethics is. That's
Yeah.
That's not.
Damn, everything is meta.
Wrong or false or stupid about these kinds of questions. It's not word salad. They're valid philosophical questions and disciplines. People write books about meta-logic, meta-ethics.
Right.
A lot of ignorant people say, you're just making it up. It's a word salad. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. I mean, I'm saying,
What the fuck is he saying? Making up meta-ethics?
He's saying his stuff is not word salad. It's for real, man.
Oh, for real stuff, yeah. Yeah, for real presuppositionalism. His whole thing is running around in circles trying to get you to justify every goddamn time you open your mouth. And that is what Van Til came up with. If you read Van Til's book and what is it? Bonson? If you read those guys, they will say it out loud that the whole purpose of their whole goddamn thing is to get the atheists to shut the hell up. They just want to shut your mouth and basically undermine everything you say and gish gallop in circles all the way back to the beginning of time. And they keep doing it over and over again. And they want you to get frustrated enough to say, I believe in God, apparently, because that solves all the problems for them. So I'm glad you solved all your problems by coming up with a 3-letter word and believing in it. It's like, now you can go away. But don't expect me to do the same.
sitting here reading a book right now on epistemology, and the guy's talking about meta level questions. Right? I recommend, by the way, if you're looking for a good Now he's not Orthodox, but he's a evangelical professor, I think at Wheaton, W.J. Wood. He has a good book on epistemology from at least a Christian evangelical perspective. Yeah. And the book is good because one thing he points out early on is that modern epistemology, because it's secular, it's actually dispensed with the idea of ethics having anything to do with epistemology. But now, wait a minute.
Well, it's because it doesn't. I mean, epistemology has some use in ethics, like what do you like with respect to the subjectivity of the objectivity of moral statements, how we know moral values or things of that nature. But epistemology doesn't require a moral system. Morality might require an epistemological system, but not the other way around.
Okay, is anybody hearing Leo? Because I'm either losing my connection or Leo sounds.
Oh no, I heard Leo fine, but I was muted. So anyway, this book talks about how it is virtuous to try to figure out what Matt Dillahunty says. I want to believe what's true, and he talks about emotion and virtue and stuff. And I haven't read the book because I just picked it up. So. Let's see. The chapters: when do epistemological questions arise? Epistemology in the pursuit of intellectual virtues, which he's talking about, like truth and all that stuff. And I don't think he's on Dyer's side exactly, but Dyer seems to like him because he's a Christian. Whatever.
Just for the audience,
are you with us?
Sake,
what's that?
For the audience's sake, if you want an actually good book, I think it was written in like the 80s, but it's still a good book on epistemology that gives one a relatively well-rounded view as to where epistemology is at as a field. The book Theory of Knowledge by Rod Chisholm is a really, really good book.
Oh, Chisholm. I wonder if he's the one that does all the consciousness stuff. Like Chisholm?
Chisholm.
Oh, how do you pronounce that? Or how do you spell it?
Chisholm.
Oh, Chisholm. Okay, yeah. Okay. I don't think I've seen that one. Cool.
And this is, you've heard me make this argument many times. I mean, people that listen to our material, I mean, if I'm making an argument to you and I'm wanting to persuade you, doesn't it kind of assume that you should follow what's true?
Right.
Yeah. So how are we going to divorce ethics from the true?
Right.
Right. And thus, by extension, we can ask other questions, how are we going to divorce the true from the good? So we're immediately involved inferentially in the domain of metaphysics, even if we're talking about ethics.
What? I don't know about that. Don't know how you feel about that. Then they will ask you what truth is. How do you ground truth and all this bullshit? And it's like, truth is what's kind of right in front of you, and it's provisionally true. It's never 100% absolutely total godlike truth in the universe. But for the most part, like I know, I can say I know for certain that I have these pens on my desk, that I'm on YouTube right now, that I'm talking to Leo and Scott, and that I have a cup of coffee to my left. I mean, how much more certain?
I'm going to go prepare a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. There you go. I got you started, Scott. Anyway.
Right.
And so his point.
So the thing is, this incessant grounding and understanding and tearing words apart and going down in layers does not lead to any cohesive, coherent discussion about any fucking thing. And that's what they insist on doing with everybody, which kind of drives me nuts.
So, the Powdered Dusty is what his display name is. Said in the chat, truth is a qualify. I think he meant to say quality of a statement. It isn't an independent
Quality of
thing.
a statement.
I actually agree with this.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah.
You'll hear people like Jay Dyer and all the precepts talk about truth as if it's this disconnected, mystical, esoteric feature of the world, and you don't know what it is, and nobody knows what it is, and how do we ground it? But they don't ever tell us what concept of grounding they're using, because there isn't just one. There's many. Truth is not an esoteric concept. Truth is really, in my view at least, and I would argue the view of most philosophers who study this, truth is just a property of sentences. It's a linguistic property. If we didn't have languages, the concept of truth wouldn't exist. It wouldn't.
Right.
There would be no such thing as truth. Languages. What's the word I'm looking for? Truth supposes that there's some sort of linguistic system there. Some might say truth is some sort of relational property between a proposition and some feature of the world, like in a sort of correspondence theory. I take what's known as a deflationary view. I don't think truth is important. I don't really think it's like, it's not. It's just really not important. Like, it's not this big thing that we have to figure out. And more specifically, I take truth to just be disquotational, where to say that, quote, snow is white, unquote, is true if snow is white, where the first snow is white is in quotes. The second snow is white isn't a quoted statement. It's a reference to the way that something actually is, where truth is disquotational. So snow is white if and only if snow is white. That's the view of truth I hold. Most philosophers hold to, I believe, some sort of like I think the deflationary is certainly popular. I don't know if it's either deflationary and then correspondence, or it's correspondence and then deflationary, but they're both quite popular amongst philosophers. Truth is not, the biggest thing here is truth is not this esoteric thing that nobody can figure out. Don't let these idiots convince you that that's the case. There's really good books on truth. I know in the, what is it, the Princeton Contemporary Foundations of Philosophy or something like that series, there's a book on truth. I'm trying to remember the name of the author. Oh, fuck, I can't, but I can look it up. It's a really good book on just the concept of truth. So there's good books out there for people that want to learn more about the concept of truth.
Yeah, it's a quality of a statement or a proposition, or I like to ground it all in biology. And I look at knowledge as our fit to the environment, how well we fit the environment. And I look at truth as basically a quality of that fit. It's something about how well we fit. Like, if I intend to pick this cup up and I successfully do it, then I've got truth. And truth is always about some action that you're about to take, or you're planning to take, or perhaps you have taken. And knowledge is about how we act in our environment. And so it goes right down to single-celled organisms moving up a gradient, looking for some glucose. And it just makes a lot of sense to me in that manner. So that's the way I handle it anyway, and get around this stuff. But yeah, it's a quality of a proposition, basically, whether it's true or false. What do they call that? Oh God, I forget what those mathematical formulas are called, where you end up dividing things into two different binaries, right? Two different things, 0, 1, TF. It was a name. There's a name for it. No, there's a name for a function. I'll think of it, as soon as I quit trying to think of it. So, anyway.
Bijective function?
Nope. It's
I can never remember the difference between injective, surjective, bijective. I mean, I don't think anybody does that doesn't deal with that on a daily basis. But
oh shit, yeah. Okay, injective is kind of one way. Bijective, it goes both ways. God, surjective. I had something all worked out for that, but yeah, when I get into math, I have to review that every goddamn time. Yep. Subjective, bijective, injective. Yeah. Anyway, oh God, oh my God, what is it? It's right on the tip of my tongue. I gotta quit thinking about it. Anyway, I'll come up with it.
point is just simply that we've lost this holistic view of the fact that how can we really divorce epistemology from ethics, from the idea of what he calls the intellectual virtues, having integrity, having intellectual integrity, having intellectual honesty, being studious.
Humility, asshole. That's what Dyer needs to. He needs to go reread that book and read the part on humility.
Right, not being lazy. These are all things that used to be stressed in the domain of academia and being scholastic. I don't mean scholasticism, but being scholastic. Those are good things, right? And if we divorce those things from epistemology, then we start to get into the domain of epistemology turning into the thing that Wittgenstein is saying, right? Like philosophers are just like crazy people, right? Like,
so he's kind of got a point here. That's interesting. It's that. And I think Wood maybe was making that point in the book that when he said that this is all about that knowledge and is about emotion, basically, it's about being a human organism. It's about being an organism in the natural world. That's what all this shit is about. Without that, there isn't much truth going on between stars and black holes and galaxies. You know, I mean, we can figure out things about it, but then that's us doing something all the time. So, and if you leave that common sense every day, I'm on the ground, I have a cup of coffee here, that sort of thing, that's where you end up spinning off into these endless circles of confusion. And he is making that point, but then his solution is going to be God, which is ridiculous because you've just made something up in whole cloth to solve your goddamn problem for you. And I don't think that's the way to do it. So anyway, any comments, Leo? What's happening in chat here? Epistemic humility. Worst
all
time
the
wrong,
Dyerites
best
left.
What's that?
I said I think all the Dyerites left.
Yeah, we went down about 8 people, so we got our crowd here. Tilting Windmill, Pablo D, Powder Dusty. Anyway, yeah, they get bored real fast. They have the attention span of a gnat, unless they've got somebody feeding their bro ego, just going after feminism and all of this bullshit. Why is that shit always such a big thing? Why is feminism such a problem for them?
Because females having any level of independence scares them.
They feel entitled to power.
What the hell? I mean, anybody that's married knows that you're in trouble. I mean, I don't know. Any dude, that's married to a woman should understand his fucking place. I mean, I figured that out a long time ago.
I mean, it's like, or I think maybe I may be wrong about this, but I'm just going from memory. It's been, again, probably 2006 since I had my Nietzsche class, but it seems like Nietzsche said something like, philosopher along the same lines as Wittgenstein. He says philosophers are like lawyers. Like they don't even really necessarily believe it. They're just arguing some case to convince you. And they don't even care if it's true, or who knows if they even believe it. It's just a bunch of lawyering. So, I mean,
he just has a proper criticism of presuppositionalism there. Don't you think?
You see that if we divorce ethics and the true and the good from epistemology, then we get these kinds of dilemmas where it's not about what's true anymore. And so we didn't really get into coherence theory tonight, but
I wanted to just quickly shift gears and just hit on a few topics real quick in regards to, you talk about Kuhn and the scientific revolution, talk about webs of belief, paradigms. This is all happening right around the same time that we have Gödel, that we have Quine's criticisms. And so then just mention Kuhn, and if you want Popper and maybe his criticism, and then lay out if we have time, get into coherency real quick. I know you're short on time. You got things you got to do, and I think you got another stream. But
yeah, so maybe let me read this as a summary because it's worded really well. It might take a few minutes, but it's worth it because if you guys remember back to some of the topics that came up in the Trent debate, and then I later shared a couple pages from this book because he words it really well, and this will get us to coherence, and then we'll look a little bit into the insights of coherence theory and webs of beliefs, but why we're not necessarily going to say, oh, I adopt wholesale some secular epistemic theory of coherence. It's just insights that we got.
Exactly.
So in his book on epistemology, W.J. Wood points out about the problems in foundationalism. He says, being grounded in beliefs that are epistemically basic are described as kind of a starting point for strong foundationalists. Critics ask, however, should we think that only beliefs that are self-evident or indubitable or evident to the senses are properly basic? In other words, on what is the prior criteria by which we are saying this, and this are properly basic? Doesn't that kind of make the prior criteria more basic than the properly basic? And that will be the problem, you see, right? He says, true, any belief meeting one or more of these standards is an ideal candidate for proper basicality. But is it necessary that a basic belief meet these standards? Should this list of criteria be considered exhaustive? These criteria alone appear much too restrictive, for they fail to encompass many beliefs that we as humans have and hold without the benefit of argumentative support. Consider, for example, beliefs in one's senses, memory, consciousness. None of these beliefs are necessarily self-evident or indubitable or evident.
Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, well, Scott, what do you think?
I was pulling out a link to the Powdered Dusty. He says he did a video, tag argument proof God is a sandwich. Okay, and I might actually be more willing to consider going back into religious faith if it could be shown that God is a sandwich. I like sandwiches. I like toast too. I love toast, but I like sandwiches too. Toasted sandwiches are even better. So maybe we can find a toasted God sandwich that just might do the job of calling me back to the fold, so to speak.
He's got a little sandwich icon. Tag argument for God. I'm sorry. I'm going to put that in my description, I think. Anyway, more bullshit from Dyer. What's his point overall? What point was he trying to make in this entire thing?
Was he basically saying
God only knows?
Salad?
Huh?
He was just saying have some more salad of my words.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Let's see. I'm putting this thing in. Let's see. Okay.
I mean, if he's saying when somebody makes an ethical statement or declares something to be ethical or unethical, if he's saying, well, how do we know that's true? Well, that's fine. I understand that, and I will go about trying to determine that. But I don't think I need to appeal to a God for it. I used to think I had to appeal to a God for it, but I don't anymore. And make your case.
Yeah, and there's we have a history, of behaving ethically all of our lives, and being influenced by culture, by the people around us, by necessity, by our emotions, by the what we are, as organisms. All of that stuff goes into questions about morality. And when it comes to questions about morality, like should we go out and start shooting people, we all know the goddamn answer to that is no. Those are really across the board, unquestioned things, right? And philosophers love to talk about babies. We're not going to do that, but they hate babies for some reason. But there are some things that are very easy to decide, some ethical situations. But then on the other hand, there are some ethical situations that are really difficult to figure out, and you got to think about them, and you got to try to work it out, and you're going to end up with situations where one person will decide one thing and another person will decide something else, and they call that relative. Well, it ain't all. I mean, calling it either relative or absolute is a false dichotomy. Okay, there's a huge spectrum in human beings of moral behavior, and every decision or every moral action is going to require it's going to fall on that spectrum. Some things are just very knee-jerk, instantly we know how to respond, and other things we have to work hard and argue a bit about, right?
Yeah,
so it isn't just a binary.
It gets more complicated as you go from self, family, tribe,
right,
or maybe immediate community, and then when it gets more and more complicated, it's hard to deal with thousands upon thousands of people and say what's the ethical thing to do or what's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And especially in light of limited resources.
And
which are limited sometimes because of the corruption of conservatives or liberals or what have you, the way they want to structure power. But anyway, the availability of resources also has a lot to do with it. So anyway, that's all I've got to say right now.
Yeah, and like what Leo was saying about how they think of truth as this some sort of substance out there, this reification, that it's like some sort of thing that exists independent in the universe. They feel they do the same thing with morality. Well, morality is always done in the moment. It's something that we it's an activity that we do, right? It's something that we do. That's where morality comes into question. It's all about humans acting and doing something. And of course, for me, that's biology, and that goes back to the single-celled organism acting to do something, right? And we're much more complicated than that. We have all these things that we have to argue about or whatever. But I mean, morality isn't some goddamn magical thing in the universe that exists out there. We can't see it with the James Webb Telescope.
Yeah, when you talk about reification, I always think about the monolith or whatever in 2001 Space Odyssey, this big looming, towering black thing that just kind of hangs out around people. There is no monolithic morality or monolithic ethics, even saying it's absolute that you do not kill. Well, the Bible doesn't even follow that. Do not kill unless God tells you to, or unless you're trying to protect your city. Do not kill. There's of course I know the word is thou shalt do no murder, but anyway, they're just what people say is morally absolute is just a fictional monolith that lots and lots of conversations, lots and lots of tradition, and lots of history have gone into deciding, and that very monolith has probably changed over time up to the point where the person thinks they're defending the same thing that somebody 2,000 years ago was defending. And it's always different, always slightly different.
Yep. But if you want to ground it, there's, where the hell is it here? There it is. I wonder if can I make me big again? Make America great again? I'm not sure how to, I forgot how to do that. Oh, I know. I think it's this thing. Nope, not that thing. I gotta quit sharing. Get rid of that. Wow, we all disappeared. What the hell? What happened? What's happening?
That was our judgment for being atheists.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Okay. So there's nothing there. I don't get it. Oh God.
Is YouTube
these icons? Huh?
Is YouTube silencing us? Or do you need to drag things onto the screen now?
No, I was trying to make it full screen, and I'm not sure exactly how to do that at StreamYard anymore. I forgot. Edit avatar, edit mic, okay, edit name, remove, okay, remove speed of sound. I can put myself there. Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense. This one gives me half a window. How do you get a full window? Oh, I know.
Played around with StreamYard
There you go. Full window. Anyway, okay. So what I like to do is source everything in biology, right? So you got a single-celled organism. It's going to move up a gradient looking for sugar, right? Sugar. It's looking for sugar. So this thing here is doing something, right? This organism is doing something based on what it's getting from the environment. And when we have a moral choice to make, that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, we're planning to do. We're getting ready to do an action, and we're taking information from our environment. Is there sugar in that action, right? And making a decision about whether or not to move forward or not. And I don't know why it keeps doing that. It keeps doing that fucking thing. Anyway, so it's that simple. I mean, that's what morality is deciding to act, to move forward. And this whole thing about humans is that, like for this guy here, right? I mean, it just goes ahead and acts when it gets some sugar. It doesn't have to sit there and cogitate and plan a future movement to go get sugar. These are things that human beings do. And some primates and mammals all take some, but we're all using the same structure in order to do things. So morality is just about going after sugar, right? Except that it's a little more complicated with human beings. And I like to break it down like that first. And then then it's quite understandable what truth is. Truth is, I'm moving toward the sugar, and the sugar's actually out there. So does that make sense? And how do I make myself small again?
It does. We're basically we're all being motivated to act in some way, but how we're going to allow ourselves to act at our complex level.
Yeah, we've had thousands of years. We've had thousands of years of this cultural buildup and figuring out shit about morality and language and all of that stuff, and it becomes real complicated for us. But if you reduce it down to the very nature of the thing, it's about planning to act in the future for some reason, some particular action that you're going to take, and that's where morality pops up. Not just morality, but even like anything, planning to eat, how you're going to feed yourself, how you're going to survive, all of that. So Malpass is dropping a likely banger video on Ontology of Logic today. Cool. It's Ontology. So do you have a source for that? Oh, you do. You got a source for it. Good. Anyway, I don't have much else. What do you guys got?
Well, it looks like Malpass will be analyzing something that Richard Carrier wrote in one of his blogs.
Oh, no.
So that should be interesting.
Okay. Ontology of Logic by Richard Carrier? Or about Richard Carrier?
I guess so. And then Malpass will be reviewing it or criticizing it. And then Carrier will come up with a reason that Malpass is lying about his position or is idiotic and doesn't understand. And then maybe between those two points of view, we'll come up with some interesting thoughts.
Yeah, I was watching some garbage today from some apologist about Erica, and he had a big long video, and the asshole, he didn't manage his audio at all. When he played clips, you could barely hear it, and then other times when he played clips, it'd be so loud it would blow your eardrums out. So you keep adjusting the volume and falling for his shit. It'll be crazy. Default view, and I'm about to find that video. But they're going on about this. I'm
sure a lot of people said about Erica.
Oh, they're going on about this thing with Tompkins and figuring out whether humans and chimp genomes are how identical they are. They're trying to come up with this number, and I think it's just falling.
There's
The whole thing is
lots,
falling.
lots of hours of video on that.
It's
been
amazing how much time we're spending on this goddamn question, and it really
well,
is.
it's also revealing how disingenuous and, here's the word, unethical people like Thompson and Luskin are being about it. And that's one of the viewpoints of when you, because basically my attitude is anytime I see anything, if I'm reading a YEC blog post or watching a video and a YEC person says the sky is blue, I am literally going to go outside and look and check, because inevitably when they quote a paper, they're either quoting the paper wrong or misleadingly, or it's a creationist paper, and
right.
So they're not trustworthy sources, and it would be nice if every once in a while they could legitimately cite sources and correctly attribute things to them, and not just misleadingly. But anyway, that's.
I have a quick question. I don't know if Fenton Molly might be able to answer this, but does anybody know what blog post of Richard Carrier's that Malpass is going to be going over? I mean, I know Richard Carrier says a lot of really stupid things, but I just don't know what stupid thing Malpass Alex is going to be covering.
Yep.
Because
I'm disappointed it's not in the description of.
Yeah, it just says going over Carrier blog post. I would love to know which one, just out of curiosity, just to know what dumb thing Richard Carrier said.
With it.
So who is this guy, Apologetics 101?
I have no idea.
And why
I've never
is
seen him before in my life.
He's kind of a piece of work, and I don't understand why he's talking about evolution. So anyway, but he is, and he's going on about Erica, but his videos are horrible to listen to, even though
there's a lot of people that talk about things they really shouldn't be talking about.
I know. There you go. Well, I think I'm going to get back to genetics. I've been doing a deep dive, particularly on chimp and human chromosomes and how they line up and how similar they are. And I totally don't understand where anybody is coming from on either side of the argument when they come up with a number, because that is just such fucking bullshit when you actually look at what's really going on in chromosomes. Even, our chromosomes today are just being cut up and fucking dissected and moved around, and viruses are jumping in and all kinds of bullshit. And it's just like, what in the hell is
Thank
the
you,
point?
Scott.
Well, he often will write about the same thing over time, so that may not be the exact article, but that'll at least get you started on what Richard Carrier thinks about it.
Okay.
Now, see, this is why Richard Carrier really just needs to stop and get some help. What physically does it mean to say that logically impossible things can't ever happen or exist? Physicality has nothing to do with the logical modality to begin with, so it doesn't matter. Oh my God! See, this is what I mean. There are people who say things and talk about stuff that they should be quiet about. Richard Carrier talks about a lot of things that he should not be talking about.
Yeah, here it is. Ontology of logic or whatever. I got to make myself big again. Let's see. Okay, let me see if I can frame this and make myself huge. There it is. Ontology of logic. So what the hell is he talking about? Mathematical version? I don't know. One question atheists tend to be bad at answering because they rarely give it much competent thought. Oh, fuck God. You. Is the ontology of logic.
Logic from having been different. But they could have been different. There are logicians who do not accept the three classical laws of logic.
Yeah. If physicalism is true and only physical things exist, blah, 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 means that means nothing. How is it that anything obeys the laws of logic? I don't really care. They do. They just do. So what the physical universe does. So I believe logic is like embedded in the very nature of space-time. I don't know how you feel about it, Leo, but
I think logic
I
is
don't.
a conceptual schema developed by humans. If humans didn't exist, there'd be no logic.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, and you're referring to logic in a different way than I am. I'm talking about the actual structure, the necessity involved in having space-time and having a particle
Well, I just
here
think
or a
that's going to be
particle there.
physically, that's going to be like nomological. That's not going to be logical.
I think that's logical because two particles can't be in the same place at the same time.
It depends on what
So
you mean by
there's your,
particle. It depends on what you mean by place, and it depends on what
yeah.
you mean by time.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, when you
generally,
get
I
down
would
to
agree
that
with
level.
that statement.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
for,
just
for
think
the
that that
most
has
part,
to do with physical stuff or nomological stuff to be a little bit more broad, not really like logical stuff. Because I mean, I wouldn't say that there's a logical inconsistency with some object occupying two places at once. I think there's nomological or physical restrictions, but I at least immediately I don't see any logical inconsistencies with that.
Yep. But that's kind of where it all arises, is how particles work, how things work. The fact that there can be two things or three things or four things, that's just basic to space-time. That's basic to a Cartesian thinking, which is not the whole story. We know that something in physics is going on that's much deeper than all of that. But for practical purposes in our lives, right, it is space-time particles that we're dealing with. And it's not even fields, it's particles, it's things that are fixed in location. And from that, I think all of logic derives. And we're just we're working with the universe in a logical way. And that's where we came up with logic. And I don't think we could have come up with something that does not play out in that particular kind of universe, right? We would have come up with some bullshit. Well, some types of logic tend to fly in the face of practical reasoning, right? Anyway, so what is he coming up with? Mathematical
I guess
version?
for me, I don't take that like the laws of logic or that logic is some descriptive schema of reality. I think that logic is largely a conceptual and a linguistic schema, that logic is more about the structure of our linguistic systems, their consistency and ability to meaningfully communicate things. I don't really think logic is designed to like describe the world around us. I think that's what physics does. I think logic is more, how do we keep our linguistic schemas consistent so that we can meaningfully communicate? I don't think that logic would exist if humans didn't have linguistic systems. And this seems to be supported by the entirety of the field of meta logic, where it's a crossover between logic and language and how they're related to each other.
Yeah, and I think it goes deeper than that. I think it goes to the very structure of the natural world.
Yeah, but wouldn't that just be something the physics studies, the structure of the natural world?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
but
don't
logic,
take physics to be
logic basically springs from that. I mean, if it was just about humans and what humans think and what language comes up with, it could have been any number of different systems, right? That's where you get into like relativism. But there's something absolute, basically. There's something about the way the world works that gives us the logic that we have. You can be in this place or you can be in that place. You can do this thing and you can do this thing at the same time or whatever. So there's like sameness and differences and all of that stuff. All of these basic ontological elements of the physical universe are kind of what we start with and what we discover and what we have come up with language to explain or describe. And so you're talking
I think
more
logic does do describing, but I don't think that I just don't take that either logic or math or language are features of the world. I think they're all developed by humans. I think that there's an interrelation between logic, mathematics, and language. I think that all three are utilized to capture the ways that we experience and understand the world. I do not take them to be features of it. I don't even take physics to be a feature of the world. It's just, again, something that humans came up with to describe the ways that we see and understand the world and allow us to meaningfully communicate the thing. Like, physics would not exist if there were no humans. Mathematics would not exist if there were no humans. Logic would not exist if there were no humans. Linguistics would not exist. Language would not exist if there were no humans, under the assumption that no other species develop languages, obviously. It seems to complicate things when we take these things to be like ontic features of the world existing independent of humans, and then humans sort of like reach out and capture them. Not necessarily that that's what you're saying, but that view has always confused me.
Yeah, and I think it's how we're prioritizing things. Our differences are almost emotional, and the way we prioritize things. So I'm looking for something else as a way of grounding, and I'm not. Oh shit, my timer's done. I'm looking to simplify things by reducing and then constructing on top of that reduction. And so I find these things that are actually necessary to space-time coordinates, and with the possibility of particles, that sort of thing. If you start right there, and that is not deep, and it's not deep enough for the physicist, but it's deep enough for us to get a handle on things and to start. And when you say that they don't exist without humans, a little part of my gut says, "Oh, I don't like that." Right? So it's almost like an emotional. The way we're talking about things, we differ in priorities, kind of. And it's very interesting to me, our differences, because philosophically, I don't think we differ at all when it comes right down to it. So anyway, but I'm getting tired. Oh, shit. What kind of function is that? Shit. It's a real common word. Let's see. Maybe I can ask this fucking chat GPT thing and tell me. It's a statistical item. What kind of in statistics and probability? Oh, and it won't come up with it, I'll bet. Success, failure, true, false. And now it's not telling me. It's just giving me the whole fucking bullshit. Bernoulli trials, blah, blah, blah. You're not talking about the right thing, you idiots. Anyway, I'll let you know when I come up with it. I always forget. There are some things that I like. There are some bands that I just cannot fucking remember. For a long time, I could never remember the Doors when I'd start thinking about their music and talking about them. And so I had to do this whole goddamn thing where I started like, okay, doors, windows, carpentry, whatever. And I had to have all these associative words. And I do the same thing with this damn function. I can never quite remember what the hell it's called. Anyway, I'll let you know. Okay, I want to get out of here. Scott, you with me? Yeah. Did Scott leave?
Scott did not leave. He's looking things up as you talk. I tend to do that. I don't know if it's because I'm distractible or curious, or if that's my job.
Right. Yep.
I'm looking forward to that Alex Malpass video. I want to thank whoever pointed that out to us. Was that the Powder Dusty?
I think it was either him or it was Fenton Moley. I can't remember.
I think it was Fenton.
Powder
Dusty has a video talking about presuppositionalism, or the tag argument. So there's a link in the side chat to that. And also Dave from Captive Desk will be on the Skeptic Haven on August 3rd. He's, I think, got a link for it already. So check that out, because we like to support Dave. He too loves toast, and that gives him credit to me.
Yes. I think I want to go have some toast. So I want to put that in my description, the Alex Malpass video also. So everything, I hope everything we talked about is in my description so that we can look at it later. But okay, I want to get out of here. So end stream. You guys ready?
That's fine. Let's do that. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank all of you out there. Oh, theology and philosophy discussions. Yeah, I'd love to talk to just you about some of these things someday. If you reach out to me, I will.
Is that person
Okay.
a theist?
Yeah, that's JG.
JG.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and Lionheart. He always brings Lionheart in to defend him, and Lionheart, as soon as Lionheart comes into the discussion,
really bad.
goes
Just really fucking
downhill. Right?
Yeah,
he's like
always.
Nephilim. He's like Nephilim. He's like a less crazy version of Nephilim, if that's possible.
Is he the
you
one
guys
who was saying that sounds like dogma to me? That sounds like dogma to me when he was doing the side chat on Dr. Dan and Erica's video or something.
Yeah.
Is he the one who does that? Uses the word dogma way too much. To the
I don't
point
I
know,
think
maybe.
so. I'm not
Really
sure.
what that
I've had
word
one
means.
discussion with him, and I've seen one other, and he's just horrible. By the way, just really
Yeah.
quickly, do either of you two watch Breakfast Talkers channel much?
Off and on, yeah.
Yeah.
Did any of you
His
catch
channel's
yesterday or last night's live stream?
I didn't watch it last night.
No.
Okay, don't.
Don't?
Holy fucking shit! I have never. How did I word this to Taco? I have never been worn the fuck out by somebody. So not that they like beat me in a discussion or anything. Just
Wore you out.
just go to Breakfast Taco stream from last night and like hit the hour mark or like the hour and a half mark or somewhere in there and just watch. And you will see me deteriorate. Just it was so.
Who are you talking to?
I'm gonna let you go figure that out. You probably don't know her. She's fairly new on the scene, but oh my
Who
fucking
is it?
god, I don't even know. You can just go. You can just go and watch that. Oh
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ! I slept well last night. That's all I can say. Holy fucking shit! It was so bad. Oh god, so.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. Okay. Unfortunately, when you type in breakfast tacos in YouTube, you get a whole lot of recipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to use the @ sign. And is it Breakfast Tacos Official or Breakfast Tacos Live or something? I'm not quite
If you
sure.
just do @ Breakfast Tacos, you'll get a channel called AR, and then the second one should be his. @ Real
Okay.
Breakfast Tacos.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Okay. At Real Breakfast Tacos?
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
We're getting out of here.
he provides really good content. It's just if it has to be the right subject and the right mood for me to sit through those long streams.
Yeah. Pretty good. Anyway, okay. We're out. Goodbye, cruel
Goodbye,
world.
everybody.